Yeah. afternoon, good evening, maybe dead at night for you. Not quite dead at night. It's just really, really early for me. But anyways, welcome to the Race Statistics channel, everyone. This is Grash with you with our live coverage of first practice of the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. So we got a couple stories that we've got to deal with right away, and there's two. Basically, one is they're dealing with penalties. Hamilton's a 5-grid penalty because before the race, he didn't slow down for yellow flags. That was last week's race. He didn't get it. He did a penalty before the race and didn't get it until after the race. And that's I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's poor stewardship. That should have been issued before the race, during the race. I don't know why. I don't know. That should have affected the grid penalty. That should have affected the grid for last week's race, not this race. I don't know what to tell you. We're about 5 minutes and 15 seconds before we go to a green flag for pre-practice 1. The other penalty is the Sainz and Lawson incident, and Sainz ended up getting a penalty. And the reasoning behind the penalty was that Lawson was ahead of Sainz, so it was Sainz's duty to not move, encroach on him, and to back off, and that's the theory. And really more that Lawson moved in the corner, and Lawson was ahead, but he moved, and that's where, if you're not familiar with racing, or if you're really a Sainz stand, you would take offense to, and you think he would have gotten the penalty instead. Not so. And why Sainz is the story here is that he's decided to throw the Grand Prix Drivers Association into the mix here. He's one of the there's 3 directors of the Grand Prix Association. There's 2 drivers, and there's a third person who's not a driver, administrative person effectively. And basically, it feels weird that Sainz has taken the Grand Prix as basically using his position as a director of the Grand Prix Drivers Association, and it's thrown that into the mix here. And that's the weird part of this story, is that it's not that Sainz doing what he's doing. He's doing this with him invoking the Grand Prix Drivers Association. For those of you who don't know, the other Sainz is the replacement. Essentially, was Vettel's replacement in that association at the director level, and the other one, the other director is George Russell. So. People in chat saying all penalties should be done in the race committed. This is before the race. This is why Hamilton's penalty is worse. Is because he did it before the race and got his penalty after the race. And even still, that 5-grid penalty was taking into consideration that Hamilton had dropped in speed. It was supposed to be 10 places. But the stewards took in consideration of mitigating factors that he had sort of dropped in speed, but not enough. And that's really, really aggravating. That we now have this 5-grid penalty on Lewis that happened before the previous race. Yeah, honestly, that should have been a warning. That should have been failure to follow race directors. And that should have been a warning, as far as I'm concerned. That is just maddening that we now, that Ferrari has to deal with this penalty with something that happened before the race last weekend. Yeah. Um, yeah, if you wanted to take something about poor stewardships from last weekend, that would have been. I mean, they say, "Oh, we were looking for the telemetry from Mercedes, and they took a while for them to get us that data." Uh, and they use that as a reason for why it took so long to issue the penalty. It's crazy that's what. Yeah, it's just I don't know. That penalty doesn't make no. It just as you dig into it, it makes less and less sense. We are about a minute and a half away right now before we get a green light at the end of the pit lane. Again, this is the Race Statistics channel, and this is Crash Reza with you right now. If you have any questions, if you have any questions about what is going on, about what anything about stats, whatnot, feel free to drop them into chat. You know, I'll put my name so you guys can see it. If you use @Grashariza, and this is both into YouTube and Twitch chat, my name will get highlighted. So, dropped in both chats, basically. Got a question? How's your life going? My life is going okay. Busy is probably the best way to describe it. And Hulkenberg is starting with the VSC deployed. I assume that this is something that the race director is testing. No, VSC. Basically, the race director likes to test the VSC system at the beginning of the session. So this is ending, and we have gone back to green already. It's again on my F1 stream. Is already has already ended. So we do have one replacement as far as I can tell. Alex Dunn. So the DUN, that's Alex Dune, I should say. Get that correct. He's replacing Oscar for FP1 testing, and that is required. Every team is required to run a rookie in the car. Each car twice this season is required to have a rookie test in it. Looks like not Behrman. Colpino is out for I think Arroyo, and I'm not sure who exactly that is off the top of my head. So we have two rookies so far. Yeah, two rookies in this session. So I'll get that information on you who that second driver is in a moment. So it looks like the Sauber team was the first to go out. They have scrubbed a medium and a hard set of tires. So can Alex Dune win? Well, no one wins FP1. Can he perform well in FP1 is the better question. If he's in the top half, Paul Aaron, thank you. I was thinking of someone else off the top of my head, but they are over in Haas now. Yeah. And Paul Aaron is he still in F2? I think he's still in F2. And I know Dune is still in F2. I think Dune might be leading. Last I checked, Dune was leading F2. He was in the top half of F2. He was performing very well. Got several people now on flying laps. That's from Dune all the way down to Paul Aaron, I think, at the moment. I think the only one who has not come out onto the track as of yet right now is Alonso and Hulkenberg and Borello are coming back on track. So we've got a busy track already this morning. Play of and Lando has gone off track in his early lap. Did he lock up? No, he just rolls. He didn't lock up. He just missed the turn and just kept rolling. Some Ackerman is in Twitch chat. Thank you. Why some say win FP1 there's nothing to win? Because they're being sarcastic, Val. It is cruelly sarcastic. Robert Prickle, will Cadillac be another Haas-like team? No, I don't think so. I think they'll be in the back markers. I mean, don't get me wrong, they'll be in Formula B or the back markers. But I don't think they will be as bad as Haas starting off. I think Haas basically is the bar to get over. And if they score more points than Haas next year, I wouldn't be surprised that they score more points than Haas. Or there's a team that they score more points than. Yeah, Dune is sitting in for Oscar. And Paul Aaron is sitting in for Colapino in the so Alpine and McLaren have rookie testers in FP1. They will be back. So Colapino and Oscar will be back for FP2. So it's only just for this session. Early on, we've got Verstappen up top of the board at 122.664. Hamilton right now on just did a full purple lap. 122. Looks like my give a few seconds difference between my F1 TV feed and what I'm looking at. So Hamilton is a 122.235, and that's a 0.409 difference between him and Max. So Hamilton, top of the board right now. People are not happy about. I had posted one of the stories is that Monaco was just recently confirmed about like 30 minutes ago. Past 30 minutes, F1 announced that Monaco will be on the grid till 3035, and there are some people in the Discord who are not happy that that's the news. Where are the DRS detection points? There are 2 green dots on the map that you can see. After turn 11, going into the straight after the start finish line, there's a dot about where the pit lane entrance is. That's the first detection point. And the next, so from the start finish line to turn 1 is the first DRS zone. The second detection point is before turn 7, and after turn 7, down into almost before turn 8 is the second DRS zone. I am, and what's your Discord is being posted in chat right now. Looking at right now what you guys are saying at the moment. Should use historic cars for Monaco. I mean, they could, but the problem is that would be a cost. And having said that, they bring specific wings to Monaco. So since I've last updated things, so right now we've got Norris top of the board now with 121.513. Leclerc has gone P2, 122.021, gap of 5.508. Hamilton is now P3. The gap with him is now 7-2. He was top of the board. Lawson right now ahead of Max. As I say that, Alonso now has moved into P4, 0.795. Lawson's about a second back. Max is 1.3 back, and Isaac is 1.37. So it's 6,000 between Verstappen and Isaac. As I say that, Max has now gone to P2 on the board, so he's only 5,000 behind Norris. So that's the interesting sign that Max is up there with. We're seeing the Ferraris up there. We're seeing Max up there. We're seeing Norris. We're only about 8 minutes into this session, really. 51.40 seconds left to go in this session specifically. We are likely going to see a lot of track evolution through this session. Albon top of the board, 121.479. So that has pushed Alonso to 7th, Lawson to 8th, Isaac to 9th, and Hulkenberg is in 10th. Paul Aaron is 11th right now with a 122.935. He's 1.4 off. He's ahead of 8 other drivers. Gasly, Bierman, Alex Dune, who's in for Oscar. Alex is 1.8 off. That's, guys, them being a whole second off is not going to be a big deal. I think Aaron being at 11 right now is a big deal. We'll see if they get higher on the board. Russell's 15, Ocon 16th, Tsunoda 17th, Borrello 18th, Antonelli 19th, and Sainz is in the pits right now, having only done 2 laps. He went out and scrubbed a hard tire and has come back in. Borrello to 14th right now. So early on, we've got about, again, 50 minutes to go in this session. Alex Albon is a 121.479. Seeing most drivers having done 5 or 6 laps, with a few exceptions. Have you heard that Lewis has a 5-place grid penalty? Yes, we talked about that earlier. Again, for those who are not aware, Hamilton at the previous race there was as effectively race director said that they were waving yellow flags in a certain particular track during the reconnaissance laps, and Hamilton did not significantly slow down enough as the stewards deemed. Isaac moving up to P5 with a 121.880. That's a 0.4 difference on Albon. So it's about 0.36 is the difference to him than Max. And because of that, Hamilton got a penalty. Now the penalty came after the race. And it was a 5 grid penalty. And that's taking into consideration that Hamilton did slow down. He normally would have gotten a 10-place grid penalty. And you can read that in the document about that. And that's crazy. I'll be honest with you. I don't know why. I don't know why the stewards did that. The track is only split into 3 sections. There's a red section that is sector 1, blue is sector 2, and then there's a yellow orange that is. Isaac failed to use the escape road properly. He's given a black and yellow flag. You can tell you why. It's mostly the car is not that great. To be quite honest, Coffee. Like it's set up for Max, it's designed for Max, but ultimately, no other driver. It's not suited to any other driver. It's not, and that's why we're seeing over at the racing rules we're seeing Isaac doing really well, and that's because the car is not specifically built to Max Verstappen. No, sector 1 is red because that comes after the start finish line. The orange is sector 3. And we can see that because turn 8, 9, 10, and 11 are in that section, whereas turn 1, 2, 3 are in that red section. Right now, at the moment, we got over 200 likes on YouTube. Thank you so much. That does help us with the algorithm over there. They won't design the car to Yuki because of budgets. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really if they have an option between A and B, and A is what Max wants, they're going to go with A, and they've done that for the last 3 years. So I mean, like we look at Yuki, we look at Liam, and then we look at Checo, and we're like, well, Checo wasn't really that bad that last, up until that last year. Checo wasn't really that bad. It's just that bad year with that decision with the car. So I think they should add more sprint races for more fun. I think 6 is a good number for sprint races. We still have 3 sprint races to go this year, so that will break up the second half of the year. These last 9 races. Oh wait, the guy speaking is different from the usual person. No, this is Crash Sakon. This is Crash. I am your usual practice guy. I've just this year, due to our staffing, I've also picked up quali in the race. Paul, I think the reason Colpino is still driving for Alpine is sponsored. I mean, he's definitely bringing sponsors in. I mean, we knew that when he got signed last year before the season, that put the pressure on the other driver, and it was just a matter of time when he was going to be replaced with Colpino. Don't get me wrong. That he does bring in money. I mean, that is a factor. Same with Checo. I mean, Cadillac would have been crazy not to take Checo, because Checo was looking for that. But ultimately, I mean, the money that Checo brings in doesn't hurt. I mean, it helps. And this is not to say that they are paid drivers. Like that would be too harsh. Um, we're not talking about drivers who the money they bring in outweighs their ability. People are asking what happened to Oscar. The other is also who is ARO and DUN. Colpino and Oscar are out in this session and they're just out for FP1 for FP1 rookie testing. And before I'll get back to that one moment, Max is getting a 120.751. He's gone 3.22 faster than Albon. Sainz has gone P3 since we last talked. Leclerc is 4th, Norris is 5th, and Russell is 6th. Hamilton is 7th. Hamilton's time was previously the P1 on the board. Borrello has gone P7, pushing Hamilton 8th. And now Borrello does a 112. Isaac goes up to 6 now on the board. But ultimately, we were talking about the two drivers that are out again are Oscar and Colpino. Oscar has been replaced by Alex Dune. He's currently 20th in the pits at the moment, and Paul Aaron is the Alpine driver for Colpino in for FP1. So we'll see Aaron coming out on a used set of medium tires. And they're reflectively 1.8 and 2.1 back. I mean, they're not here to be as fast as possible. They're here to get comfortable and familiar with the car. So don't expect, if they're any better than 8, 9, 18, and 20th, they're doing better than expected. Oh, how am I pronouncing? Should be done. And I should know better. I have some Irish heritage in my family. My other side is coming out, so we'll leave that alone. Click starting his flying lap. Yes, is he starting a flying lap? I don't think he is starting a flying lap. Or maybe he is. Maybe it was that first chicane was just super slow. He didn't start the lap well. Let's put it that way. It is a 26.9 and 26.8 is the fast. So it's not a great hit. So he's just slower than his best time. Just sending a message to the boss to help us out. Paul Aaron replaces Franco Colpino for FP1 today. Do you think he will be back for FP2? Yeah, Colpino will be back for FP2. Same thing with Oscar is out for Alex Dune for FP1. Oscar will be back for FP2. Yellow flag. It looks like there was a yellow flag. So it's given that the yellow flag flashed and has gone away. It means someone has gone off track and has come back on. And that's Paul Aaron having he has spun. He spun and went off track. He didn't go anywhere far enough to hit anything. Yeah, and he looks like he says he hit gravel on the entrance, and that basically caused him to lose control of the car. If he was anywhere else where it was tighter, that would have been in the wall. But he went out. Went off at 4 or 5 and came back. Managed to get control of the car and come back on. So track is back to green after that incident. We've got 38 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in this session right now. This is, again, Crash with you with live coverage of Free Practice 1. Again, this is the Race to 60 channel. We're live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube chat. We're here live on Twitch. Hello, Twitch chat. We are apparently live on TikTok, as I've been told. Hello, TikTok. Can't converse with you. It's complicated. It's about rules and paranoia here in the United States. And this is feeling who is this? Isaac. Oh, they're showing Isaac not using the escape road properly, which is what we saw earlier in this session. Isaac right now on a flying lap. He's improved in Sector 1, Sector 2. He's about 4/10 back, though. Again, we're also live on YouTube. On Facebook as well. So. Yeah, we're trying to manage trying to use a new layout for practice. So we're getting some made the sector 1 sector times a little bit easier to read. And people are asking who DUN is. That is Alex Dunn. DUNE is how it's spelled. I think Dune is how it's supposed to be pronounced. I'm a dumbass. Excuse me. I will probably mispronounce his name over and over. So my apologies. Um, moving on. Moving on. The other driver that is in for FP1 rookie testing is Paul Aaron. He's in for Colapino. What's going on with Bordello? Yeah, something happened with Bordello as he came into his pit box. Something fell from the Williams garage. He couldn't turn in properly for his pit box. We'll see if there's anything from race control from there. Yeah, so far the only incident so far in this session has been Paul Aaron with that spin that brought out a yellow flag. He basically went into a paved area after the fact and then was able to get back onto track. Sainz and Lawson are the only two on track right now, so we're recycling right again. 35 minutes left to go in this session. We are recycling right now for new programs for all these drivers. So this is not to be unexpected. It just happens to be this is where it's happening. And then we should see another round in about 15, 20 minutes. They'll do this again. They'll all come to the pits, reset up the cars for the last program of the session. Excuse me. Sainz right now P2 with 120.883. He is 132 behind. Clark right now currently pits is 2.19 behind Max. Max is in the pits as well. Albin is fourth. Isaac is fifth. Alonso is sixth. Lawson's the only driver on track right now. He just did a lap and he did a 121.344. He's 593 behind Max. Of the other Red Bull, Yuki Tsunoda is P13. He's 8.834 behind Max. So we're seeing better performances from the Racing Bulls again than Yuki at the moment. Again, we are asking again who's in the McLaren, who is in that Alpine. It's Paul Aaron in the Alpine, replacing Colapino for this session. And again, Alex Dunn. It is in 20th right now on the board. He is in for Oscar for this session. Both Colapino and Franco and Oscar will be back next session. Again, the rule is that and this starting this year, it used to be only one session per card. It's now 2 sessions per card this year. So each team has to run a rookie in FP1 twice for each car. So what we'll see next year is, and I believe that's Alex Dunn, basically doing a practice start from pit lane. So one of the things we will see next year with Cadillac, this is where things are going to get really interesting. Is that in the so Sunday was the last race for IndyCar, and Tuesday, a lot of things happened really quickly. One, Team Pesky let go of Will Power. He'd been with the team 17 years. He eventually would move on to the Andretti team. And this is the same umbrella. So TW Motorsports is the umbrella that owns that runs the F1 team, but under that umbrella is also the IndyCar, the Formula E, and other racing programs as well. So they're effectively moved Colton Herta from IndyCar to the Cadillac team. Now he is going to be their test driver. Now, let's be clear, he can only be the test driver for Cadillac because he doesn't have enough points to have a super license. So next year, don't be surprised when we start talking about Colton Herta in the Cadillac car for Checo and Valtteri. The next thing again with Colton is that he won't be racing in IndyCar next year. It's not been determined what he's going to be racing, but the speculation, and this is pretty within reason to expect this now, is that Colton Herta will be in F2 next year. That's I want to put this. A IndyCar winner is going to be in F2 next year to get the super license points so they could be in the car for F1. Yeah, so I mean, this is basically in 2 years we'll see Colton Herta in F1. That's this is the long-term plan. It is again, Colton Herta is taking a pay cut to jump from IndyCar to F2, effectively F2 to the Mercedes. I mean, right now it will be a pay cut. Yeah, no, the IndyCar is treated like no better than in its F3. Really, maybe F3 in some cases. And that's hard to take into consideration. Being I mean, like only the IndyCar champion has a free pass to get into F1 if they wanted to. So, anyways. Again, you're looking at sector times, Brandon. So like Russell is, again, where is he on the board? He's P11 on the timing sheet, but he's P2 in the sector. So he's done second best time in that sector. Yeah, that's why the IndyCar. That's why that is not an FIA series, but to treat it as like F3 is insane. That is extremely punishing. Yeah, I mean, literally, we're talking about you can win races in IndyCar and still not be considered qualified to be an F1 driver. It's not the American Formula One, and the reason is that IndyCar is very different from Formula One in very different ways. I mean, they're both open wheel racing, and the cars are similar, but to just call it the American Formula One is not. It's short sighted to say that. Looking at what you guys are saying right now. Thank everyone who's been right now. We are about under 8 minutes to go in this session. 27 and 30 seconds left to go specifically. No, NASCAR and Formula One mixed together. That's actually really bad. That's actually wrong. There's things that you can do in NASCAR that you cannot do in Formula One, or in IndyCar. They allow bumping in NASCAR. They don't allow bumping in Formula One or IndyCar. That's just not a tactic or strategy that is even allowed. Yeah, no. There is a particular driver, Brad Kolowski, who is particularly notorious about bumping people and will bump people ahead of him and cause them to spin out. He is very much a bad actor. And if Max were an a NASCAR driver, he would drive very much like him with those tactics because he would play with all the rules because that's how Max rolls. Again, I need to remind you there are specific notes in the drivers in the race director's notes. Week after week after week, there are specific notes that show up regularly that are specific to Max Verstappen. SVG and NASCAR is making things change there. Yeah, he's basically won all. So what SVG is? Oh, I'm blanking on his full name, but basically he comes from not he doesn't he's not someone who came up through the NASCAR system. He came from road racing, and now and he was brought in. So when NASCAR last year did their first road race ever, he was brought in to be like, hey, we'll bring in a real road racer and see how they do, and he won. Which basically he was he was the ringer for road racers, and he went and won in NASCAR. We're looking at Isaac going a little wide over some gravel. Shane Vance Ginsburg, thank you, Blue Hawk. So Ginsburg basically was brought in to basically be like, here's the wild card for road races. He ended up being the ringer and won it. And on every single road course they've been at so far, he's won all those races. And that puts him in rare. Oh, we have a red flag. What has happened? We have a red flag. It just popped up. So your red flag with Grash has happened. It is 24 minutes and 24 and 25 seconds. We have had a red flag. Oh, so okay. I see what's going on. They have decided to. So when Isaac went over that gravel, he kicked up a lot of gravel onto the track. And they have decided to, and it's across the whole track. Was it just him? It's Antonelli. Okay, so it's Antonelli as well. Not just a replay of Antonelli. Antonelli going to the gravel. Isaac didn't. He went into the gravel but came out of it as well. Lando's gone into the gravel. I know Alex Dune has gone into the gravel. Lando went off the track into the gravel. I'm trying to think who SVG is the king of road races with Darling Game of Rude Awakening. Well, yeah, that happens in NASCAR too. I mean, there are things you can do in NASCAR that you cannot do elsewhere. So there is gravel on the track itself. It's in. I'm not sure which turn we're looking at right now, but it's covered the whole track effectively. Yeah, suck that gravel up and spat it out. Yeah. They're definitely going to keep an eye on those floors, given how they've gone into the gravel. So we're in a red flag while we wait for cars to get off track, and then basically they're going to sweep the track of the gravel. Red flag for some gravel. In the 80s, they used to race on tracks with worn-out asphalt surfaces. And this is why safety is different today than it was in the 80s. 40 years of safety innovation. Probably not a good idea to put. Yeah, and this is something that we're gonna probably have to deal with in F2. I mean, in free practice 2 and free practice 3. This will definitely, if they're doing, I will. It's most likely that we'll get a delay from quali 1 to quali 2 because they'll want to sweep the track. Probably get again with quali 2 to quali 3. Do we have a new driver on the track? We do, Jenna. Basically, right now we have Alex Dune and Paul Aaron in for Oscar and Colapino. they'll be Franco and Oscar will be back in FT2. We just have FP1. We have FP1 rookie testing going on this weekend. Again, where's Oscar? He's Alex Dune has replaced him for this session. He'll be back for FP2. Please option for German subtitles. I don't know. I don't know what subtitles, how that is being done on the fly with YouTube. So I need a gravel with bungee cords to get it back into place. Boy. Right now, we're going to play. I think this is Isaac. I think this is the yeah. Isaac went. They're replaying Isaac going into the gravel. He's the one that kicked up the big cloud of gravel smoke behind him. But then I went to the bathroom, came back to this. Red flag, Dark. Yeah, no, it's because there's gravel on track. Isaac went off, and basically sucked up a good amount of gravel behind him into a big cloud, and it came onto the track. Again, a red flag basically means that there's something going on with the track. Usually, so it's the track. So yellow flag means is a caution flag. So for most cases, a driver going off the track will be a yellow. If they stay off the track and stop, that will bring out a red flag during practice. Yeah, a red flag again in practice. They're more willing to throw the red flag than they would say, hey, basically, during quali or no, certain extent to quali. And the marshals are out with their brooms. I think one has a rake. Got a track cleaner. Basically a glorified street cleaner vehicle on track right now. So they are in the moment. Is time still ticking down during fight? Yes. So during practice, time does not stop. So we are now 19 minutes left to go in this session. They will get back. Why red flag? There's tons of gravel. Isaac went off track and sucked up a huge, massive cloud. Oh wow! They got an old cutout of Hamilton. I think that was Santana ran across it, so it looks like that was his. I want to say McLaren days, I think. But Isaac is a floor crack that's gotten bigger, apparently. I'm surprised they're not trying to replace the floor. I think they might do it between sessions. I think they want to get them back out onto track. But again, practice sessions are not suspended under red flag, so the timer's not suspended. So there's a red flag infringement. I think he passed someone. He's pissed. They're showing, and the session will start in the next minute or so. They're all coming out into the pit lane, into the fast lane now. So they're lining up in the fast lane of the pit lane. So they'll be coming out pretty quickly. Yeah, again, no one crashed. It was just a lot of gravel. Isaac went off track and sucked up a ton of gravel behind him, and that probably also made the okay, no further review read. So incident involving reviewed, no further investigation. I think basically there was nothing that he could have done. Yeah, so Charles passed the Sauber, and it's not. And basically, what's going on here is that Charles most likely had to do that to get out of the way of the Sauber, as opposed to You know, and we've seen some of these red flag infringements earlier. So what happened is Charles had to pass a Sauber under the red flag, and it wasn't his fault for why he had to pass the Sauber. And that's why there's no longer an investigation. Which also want to make you to get out of the that is true too, Max. They're all now coming out of the pits. They've lined up, so it's like there was. I know I think Hamilton ran to the back. Yeah. We saw one of the Ferrari drivers run to the back of the garage section. Big shout out to the mods. Your stream saves. Thank you. Again, I've been here. So a little bit of history about the channel. We've been doing F1 on this channel is actually older. It's about six and a half years old. But about 4 years ago, over 4 years ago, we were actually on our sister Data Visualized is our sister channel, and we moved from Data Visualized over to here to Racing Statistics. Excuse me. And it's been 4 years, basically 4 years since we started doing the F1 watch-alongs here. And we know this because I just got the 4-year badge on YouTube, which is, again, when we started doing... the channel was since April 12th, 2019, but it's been... I know the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2021 we were on, I think that Data Visualized. I forget where we made the switch over. I have to go back and look. But 4 years ago, at this point, we made the switch from Data Visualized to the channel that you are now watching us on. And since then, we have passed over 100,000. Well, where are we at right now? We are at 144,430. So we're about 670 subscribers on YouTube to hit 145K. So numbers go up. We talked about Lawson versus Carl last week. What are we thinking? Ultimately, the Lawson versus Carlos Lawson is that the reason. The issue in hand is that Lawson was ahead of Sainz. And so it's on Sainz to be aware of where Lawson is. And what Lawson, not great, still legal. He has to expect that he's going to get that room from Sainz. And so it's really the issue that how the stewards ruled is basically is that it was on Sainz to be aware of what Lawson's doing, as opposed to Lawson being aware of what's going on behind him with Sainz. And that's where the penalty comes from. That's where penalties are right now. They've jumped up from 5 to 10 second penalties. So the amount, while it seemed harsh, it is consistent where they have gone with penalties over the past 2 years. The problem is that Sainz got angry about that and blew up. Literally, honestly, blew up. And he then brought the Grand Prix Drivers Association into the mix because he's one of the directors of the association. And that's where things get weird, is that he's still pushing back on the stewards after last week, because they want to get clarification what's allowed and what's not allowed. And Charles Leclerc has gone top of the board with 120.268. Verstappen is P2, Sainz is P3, Albon is P4. Russell just jumped to P5 with 121.1.6. It's still 4/10. So Charles is 4/10 faster than Max. So we will see this track get better. I don't think anyone else. I don't know. I'll have to check who else is racing with F1 this weekend. But I want to thank the 1,565,000 people watching on YouTube right now, and the dozens and dozens watching on Twitch. Thank you so much. We're growing on both platforms. Yeah, I mean, Liam's being generous here, saying it's a racing incident, because if it was on the other way around, he would want that given to him as well. This is Liam playing down what happened effectively. But the real issue is with the stewards is more Hamilton's penalty, because Hamilton got committed the penalty before the race, but was issued the penalty after the race, and that is where that's the one that the stewards should have done better. They should have had that out. If they weren't going to get it out before the beginning of the race, it was supposed to get out. I don't know why they really needed the McLaren. I mean, not the McLaren, the Mercedes telemetry data. And why they weren't like pushing on them to get that for them as soon as possible. Yeah, I don't know. Given how long it took them to deal with that, they should have issued a warning and not a grid penalty. I mean, he did slow down. The point of getting Hamilton's penalty is that Hamilton did slow down. That's why it's only a 5 grid penalty as opposed to a 10 grid penalty drop. But now we're getting to it's subjective. Well, we think he didn't slow down fast enough, or didn't slow down enough for what we expected. And for something that was on the reconnaissance laps, that could have been just a warning. And particularly as if they were going to issue that early on with the grid penalty drop, that should have been really soon. That should have been for that race. But ultimately, as that went on, that should have been just a warning and not a grid penalty drop. Guys are talking about risotto in chat in YouTube. Why do they have people standing at the pit entrance anyway? I'm not sure in what regards. I know there are people who need to be at the pit lane entry. We're all in chat saying no need of hope. It's Ferrari 1-2 this weekend. Max Verstappen has something to say about that. McLaren's haven't shown up. So Sainz has a great. No, Sainz got a time penalty and he served it. It's Hamilton who has a grid penalty, and that is Sainz into second. I'm getting a replay of Max at the moment. Getting a replay of Alonso. Alonso's head was bouncing a little bit, so that's interesting. We've got 7 minutes left to go in this session. Again, you're listening to the Race Statistics channel, and this is Crash with you. How time flies when you're not paying attention to it. We have had a red flag because of gravel on track. We're talking about penalties. We're talking about fact that Oscar and Colapino have been replaced with Alex Dune and Paul Aaron. Again, these are FP1 rookies. Franco and Oscar will be back for FP2. The red flag was brought out because Isaac had gone off track into one of the gravel pits and managed to somehow produce a massive cloud of gravel that covered the whole track. I mean, we're talking left side to right side, pure gravel. And that was deemed too dangerous, and it was too dangerous to continue. So they red flagged the session so they could sweep the track. Given that we've gotten that red flag already here for that reason, I am telling you for tomorrow, be no, you guys don't get to call drivers. Yeah, guys, we do have standards here. You're not going to invoke terrorist names or organizations in relation to drivers. That is a line too far. I'm timing the person out. You do that again, you'll be removed from chat. I normally have been tossing people from chat for that reason. Yeah, we have standards here, people. We are newbie friendly. We like to answer questions, but we have standards. And if you're not going to follow those standards, you don't belong here. Bottom line. 4 minutes to go and 30 seconds left to go in this session. Again, this is the Race Statistics channel. This is Crash, your mean mod and commentator for this session. Thank those who are on YouTube, those who are in Twitch chat, those who are on TikTok, and those who are watching on Facebook. There's probably another platform that I'm not aware of as well. And those of you who are maybe watching this after the fact on demand. A lot of people right now in YouTube chat are thinking that it might be a 1-2 this weekend. Hamilton top of the board right now with 120.117. He's on soft tires. He's 1.69 faster than Leclerc. Sainz is third, Verstappen's fourth. Antonelli is fifth. He's just recently done a lap. Norris sixth, Albon seventh, Russell eighth. That's his most recent lap. Alonso 9th, Isaac 10th, Bortolo 11th, Lawson 12th, Tsunoda 13th, Stroll 14th, Hulkenberg 15th, Alex Dunn, he's in for Oscar for FP1 training and testing. He is 16th. Ocon 17th, Gasly 18th, Behrman 19th, and Paul Aaron, who's in for Franco Colapino, is 20th. Hulkenberg just went up to 12th. He did a 121.179. He's about 1 second, physically 1.062 back. For those who are talking about Lewis, again, if Lewis gets pole on P1, he'll start P6 effectively. So now's a great time to hit the like and subscribe over YouTube or follow on Twitch. Again, if you like and subscribe, hit that bell. You will get notifications when we go live. Those of you who are set up with your notifications on Twitch, when you follow, you'll get our notifications that we've gone live. We go live for every session. So all the practices weekend. If there was a sprint weekend, this is not a sprint weekend. Just so we would be following the sprint quality, the sprint race. And beginning of next year, season next year, we'll be live for preseason testing. I don't know what. It's one of those. I gotta figure out when the preseason testing. We'll actually have more preseason testing that will broadcast. So there usually is 2 preseason testing. One that is not on F1 TV next year, and then there was one there is next year. We'll have an extra session, and that third session will be televised on F1 TV. So we'll have like 6 days of preseason testing as opposed to 3 that we'll be covering. So minute and 30 left to go in this session. We will pretty much come to an end pretty quickly. There will probably be a little bit of music, and then we'll go to the FP2 session on YouTube. For those who are on Twitch, just stay with us. When we go live again, you'll be ready to go. I want to thank people like Paula, Mackey. If you're green, say something. Paula, Mackey. I know Shay has been around. Or you green. These are people who've joined the channel. I just want to give a shout out. Again, I refer to you as the family. Again, when I was sick 2 years ago, they were beneficial and helpful. Yellow flag. This is going to end up being a red flag. George Russell has stopped on track, and this will bring the session to the end. And George Russell has lost power. So they're going to do a virtual safety car? Ladies and gentlemen, the stewards have decided to rob me of a red flag. I am not happy. So they're going to do a virtual safety car for the last 30 seconds of this session. Yeah, they're just gonna do a virtual safety car, and time has expired in this session. So, for everyone here, again, Russell has stopped on track. He's lost power. But yeah, 4 more likes. 5 more likes. We're just a few more away from 400. That would be helpful with the algorithm. James, you're definitely gonna go boom boom this weekend. May have already. George Russell has lost power. He's stopped on the side of the track. This would have brought out the safety, the red flag, but given we were at the very end of the session, they decided to just do a virtual safety car, which is disappointing. That's really all I have to say. And we have gotten that 400, so thank you. And welcome to chat in Twitch, Max. Unfortunately, we're about to end, so we'll be back in about 2.5 hours. Probably 90 minutes or so, I believe. I think we're playing music. I'll let the boss, but definitely in 2 hours we'll be back with on stream airing. And I'll be back about 5 to 10 minutes before the session. If there's any decision documents, we'll go over that. I'll go over that with you guys in FP2. For everyone here at the Racing Statistics, has been Grash. We will see you in a little bit for FP2. Take care, everyone.